Train the Trainer for Learning Session 1, the ABCs of a Healthy Me. Welcome to Learning Session 1. My name is Alex Hyman, and I was one of the content specialists for the National Early Care and Education Learning Collaboratives project. One of our goals here at NAMORA's National Office of Policy and Prevention is to ensure that all trainers have the resources, materials, and information they need to implement successful learning sessions. Being prepared is critical in this project as the learning sessions contain a wealth of information. The amount of information may seem overwhelming at times. To reduce this feeling, please continue to use this webinar and those forthcoming as a way to reflect and hopefully guide you to becoming a successful trainer. Our agenda today will cover the information presented in the PowerPoint presentation and implementation guide for Learning Session 1. Since this is not the actual presentation, we will not show the slides, but will instead do a review of them to hopefully answer any questions and concerns you may have. It might be helpful to have your implementation guide along with the participant handbook available so you can reference it during this presentation. Part A, the ECLC project. The National ECLC project is an intervention designed to promote positive changes in healthy eating, healthy beverages, physical activity, and screen time policies, practices, and environments in early care and education settings. The collaborative model has been so effective because we've been able to establish community partnerships that help to expand early childhood educational programs. We provide the resources and the support that are critical in ensuring all programs and children's needs are being met. Initial goals. The Early Care and Education Learning Collaborative project model is based on these initial goals. The leadership teams can be empowered by engaging staff in ongoing assessments, action planning, and quality improvement. There's a strong emphasis placed on engaging families as partners in supporting children's optimal development and acquisition of healthy habits, family-style dining, and moderate to vigorous physical activity. Learning session preparation. Know the information. The implementation guide you have was developed to provide guidance in how to implement each of these learning sessions. The guides all come with a sample agenda, a materials list, and the content needed for implementation. If future guidance is needed, please refer back to this and to our other learning session webinars, or feel free to reach back out to NAMORA's contacts for help. We're here to ensure that you are successful in your implementation. Please use the sample agendas provided in the implementation guide to guide you with suggested timing. This will allow you enough time to cover each content area included in the learning sessions. It's important to maintain the schedule as we don't want to overload participants with information. This is a brief overview of how the learning sessions will roll out. Make note of the continuous use of action planning and the use of storyboards to communicate the process of change. These learning sessions are active. Providers will explore and experience the resources they'll be sharing with the staff in their programs, all in order to support kids moving, learning, and acquiring healthy habits. Each learning session covers different topic areas. Learning Session 1 provides an overview of the Healthy Kids, Healthy Future Child Care Initiative, the ECLC project, childhood obesity rates, staff wellness, and an introduction into best practices around child nutrition, physical activity, screen time, and breastfeeding support. Learning Session 2 provides information on healthy eating and child and adult care food program meal patterns. Learning Session 3 provides information on family-style dining and breastfeeding support. Learning Session 4 provides information on physical activity. And Learning Session 5 provides information on screen time, as well as state and local organizations that can help to support ECE programs as they move forward. Following each learning session is what we call the action period time. During this time, the leadership teams will go back to their program staff to facilitate an abridged version of the learning session they just attended, and they'll also work on a specific task, completing worksheets before the next learning session. This action period time enables the entire early care and education program to learn, play, assess, plan for, and implement healthy changes together, empowering program staff as agents of change. After learning session 1, programs will complete the Go NAP SACC tool as part of their action period to assess their strengths and areas of improvement for planning healthy changes. The learning session 1 content. Starting the day with check-in. It's recommended to begin the check-in process approximately 30 minutes before learning session 1. PowerPoint Part A, the National ECELC Project. The ECELC project focuses on quality early childhood education and children's health as the foundation for lifelong success. It's aligned with the best practice guidelines to guide the process of healthy change. It is critical to understand the concept of ECE providers as agents of change. A child who's in childcare spends the majority of their day in a childcare program. Providers serve as role models and as resources for families, influencing their healthy habits. A well-developed leadership team is also essential. It's recommended that this team be comprised of those individuals who are in agreement with the collaborative goals and values and are designated to implement them. The leadership team might include a director or owner, a lead teacher, or a cook. These are generally essential personnel within the center and have the most influence in making changes. Learning sessions are designed to introduce each area of the curriculum to providers through interactive and engaging sessions. There are 5 sessions, each contain a wealth of information needed to make this project a success. In Learning Session 1, programs will complete the Healthy Kids, Healthy Future Childcare Quiz to assess their current implementation of best practices. As programs complete the quiz, make sure to take time to introduce them to the Healthy Kids, Healthy Future website, which they can use as a resource for themselves and also share with parents. Part B, Healthy Development. The prevalence of obesity has increased over time. Understanding and acknowledging this helps programs understand the need for obesity prevention. When presenting this information, please click on the picture, which is hyperlinked to take you to the website where you can find the state-specific statistics for obesity rates. The intention of this segment is to focus on your specific state. Feel free to provide additional resources and statistics if desired. Video Module 1 highlights and briefly explains each section of the presentation. It explicitly outlines the importance of having programs understand their involvement and the role they play in preventing obesity. We encourage you to watch the video prior to sharing it with participants. The learning session will use this video to help facilitate action period tasks between learning session 1 and 2. One suggestion for viewing is to show the video in segments, pausing and allowing time for participants to ask questions. You will be modeling how they'll be further implementing the viewing of this video when they take it back to their programs. The What's That Slogan activity contains common fast food slogans without the name of the restaurant. Here you'll have participants guess the food restaurant associated with that slogan. If time permits, please then facilitate a discussion around the influence that slogans and jingles have on childhood obesity and child food preferences. Preventing childhood obesity. Preventing childhood obesity in early care and education programs, second edition, can be found on the Healthy Kids, Healthy Future website. This edition contains national standards that describe evidence-based best practices in nutrition, physical activity, screen time, and breastfeeding support for early care and education programs. This can be used as a handbook and a reference tool for ECELC programs as they implement new best practices. Throughout learning sessions 1 to 5, you'll see this logo for Early Learning Standards physical activity breaks. One of the physical activity breaks per session will be dedicated to introducing and linking the physical activity to your state's early learning standards. Please bring copies of your state's early learning standards to distribute to participants. This will allow them to become familiar with these standards and help them in connecting the dots between best practices and early learning standards. Once you conduct the physical activity, please facilitate a discussion around what common early learning standard domains were addressed. Use your state's early learning standards as a guide to facilitate this discussion, or use the domains that are listed in your implementation guide. There might be additional domains specific to your state's early learning standards, and we encourage you to have participants talk about what else can be included. PowerPoint Part C, the ABCs of a healthy me. This document can be found in the participant handbook. However, you might want to print out additional copies from the website. The ABCs of a healthy me framework will be used throughout all the learning sessions. In addition to the ABCs of a healthy me, if you have any state-specific messaging that you want to be included in your information or slides, please feel free to add this. The ABCs of a healthy me exchange should allow the participants in your learning session a chance to be creative. Set up 5 pieces of chart paper around the room titled with the different ABCs of a healthy me best practices. Place index cards or sticky notes at each table with at least 5 cards or more for all participants. You'll want participants to identify what they're currently doing and compare them to the best practices. Many programs will identify similar items. It's okay, still have them list the items on the cards that are associated with their letter. This is an opportunity for participants to network and is the first interaction participants will have with one another, so please ensure that they feel comfortable in sharing. One way to do this is to count off by 5. This will ensure that the programs who came and sat at the same table together will break up and get to know others in the room. The gallery walk is not only a chance to learn different methods, but is also a physical activity break. We want to reinforce that these small breaks can always be used as ways to promote physical activity. The ABC's Healthy Exchange can be revised in another manner if you feel comfortable doing so. You might have different ideas on how to make this activity more successful for your group of providers. Remember, there are 60 minutes allotted for this entire section, including the activity and the presentation. Reinforce the importance of also partnering with families to support healthy eating. And remember that consistency is what makes a key for an effective program. PowerPoint Part D, Facilitating Change in Your Program. The video, Making Health Easier, Healthy Changes Start in Preschool, highlights one teacher's successful way of adding a physical activity to her program. Encourage the participants to go back and share this video with their staff. The video can serve as motivation to change because one small change another teacher did made a difference. You will then break out into technical assistance groups. These TA groups are your opportunity to learn your leadership teams, learn the needs of the programs you're working with, and begin to set up dates to do your site visits. Please review the discussion notes beforehand so your questions are asked fluidly and you're more attentive to your programs. Be sure to outline your role with each program. Program Action Period Tasks. Each program is required to complete the action period tasks. These tasks are to be completed and returned at the next learning session. The leadership teams will be looking to you for guidance and support as they work through these action period tasks. These are the steps programs should be taking and thinking about and implementing. The classroom assessments are used to develop the overall program assessment. Only one Go NAP SACC assessment should be submitted per program. If a program does not serve infants in their facility, they don't need to complete the breastfeeding and infant feeding portion of Go NAP SACC. When they return to Learning Session 2, programs will need to bring back the Video Module 1 worksheet, their completed Go NAP SACC instruments, and the chart paper that has listed their 5 strengths and 5 areas of improvement. Action Period Task 1, the Video Module Worksheet. Programs will complete the worksheet as presented at the beginning of Learning Session 1. They will introduce the Taking Steps to Healthy Success and the Early Care and Education Learning Collaborative. When watching the video, have the leadership teams understand to be prepared to pause the video and answer questions as a group. One person from the leadership team should be recording staff's thoughts and feedback on the worksheet. The leadership teams will not only share what was learned, but facilitate video trainings as they work together to make change. Action Period Task 2, Go NAP SACC. Participants are asked to complete 5 Go NAP SACC instruments. These assessments will help gauge where programs are with implementing best practices and help identify areas of improvement. The program director and/or leadership team will complete the self-assessments. Program staff can provide input if desired, but only one copy of each instrument should be turned in at the start of learning session 2. As mentioned on the previous slide, if a program does not serve infants, they do not need to complete the breastfeeding and infant feeding instrument. Action Period Task 3, Strengths and Improvement Areas. Using the NAP SACC results, the program director and leadership team will discuss the results with their program and should choose 5 strengths and 5 improvement areas. They'll document these on the 5 strengths and 5 improvement areas worksheet that's included in the participant handbook, as well as on large chart paper. It's this large chart paper that they'll bring back to learning session 2. They should also be sure to hold on to the worksheet, as this will help guide them in action planning learning sessions 2 through 5. Part E, Staff Wellness. The large group discussion here should allow participants to share other activities they're already doing or would like to do in order to improve their own health. Since staff wellness can be a sensitive topic, please allow participants to have the option of sharing their activities. You can have participants turn to the 101 Low-Cost Ideas for Worksite Wellness tip sheet in their participant handbook. Use this time as an opportunity for participants to identify what they're already doing and maybe to choose some things that interest them on the list that they would like to begin doing. If time permits, you can also share with participants some of the free phone applications they can use to improve their health. PowerPoint Part F, Principles of Family Support. This section looks at the guiding principles of family support, cultural and family values, and key protective factors that should be acknowledged when working with families. Establishing a family-friendly environment helps develop relationships and build trust with families, supporting children's learning and their environment. There are 3 elements providers should practice in order to effectively engage families in their programs: family support principles, parent involvement practices, and protective factors. The Strengthening Families framework is an approach developed to increase families' strengths and enhance child development. It focuses on engaging families, programs, and communities using 5 key protective factors. Protective factors are conditions or attributes of individuals, families, and communities that eliminate risks. The slide on key protective factors displays characteristics of what each factor should look like. The idea behind this approach is based on making small but significant changes. Some states are already integrating this framework into their local systems like quality rating and improvement systems or early learning standards. You should check to see if your state's integrating this work and share that with participants. The video, Bringing Families Together, Building Community, highlights one program's experience with families and how they work to gain family support. Encourage participants to think of what they're already doing and what they would like to do. During the Creating a Family-Friendly Environment activity, discuss how the awareness of culture can affect the environment of a program. This activity allows participants an opportunity to identify best practices and to evaluate their program. Part G, Additional Support. Introducing national, state, and local leaders to the project is a great way to gain additional support. Listed here are some common agencies and organizations that support early childhood. Try to think about ways you could incorporate them into your learning session. An idea would be inviting a local representative with a coordinating content area to your learning session as a guest speaker, or having them drop off resources and information. Feel free to add to this list if you have additional partners in your state supporting early care and education providers, and be sure to include them in your learning sessions if possible. Now let's take a look at the handouts, resources, and materials for Learning Session 1. This is a screenshot of the healthykidshealthyfuture.org website. As you prepare for learning sessions, please become familiar with the website. If you have time during the learning session, I encourage you to introduce your participants to this website. There are resources here for both providers and families that are extremely useful. You'll also find an ECLC Resources tab on our Collaboratives and ECLC project page. All the materials and content that's used in the learning sessions can be found here. You'll also find links to evaluation materials and tools and to resource videos. If you have any questions or concerns, you can contact me using the information provided on the screen. I hope this webinar has provided you with an overview of the information you need in order to successfully implement Learning Session 1. As I said before, if you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Good luck, thanks, and enjoy your day.